All right, welcome to day 2 of my new split chest and triceps. We're gonna dive right into it. But yeah, it's the following day and my chest is so sore from this and my triceps, but like in the best way possible. Hope you're having a good day. It's hard to have a bad day when you hit chest and triceps, let's be honest. We're starting out with seated cable flies. Typically, I don't do like any movements sort of like a fly or I guess you could call it an isolation movement before I go into something like a compound movement, like an incline press or even a flat dumbbell press, anything like that. So the reason I started with this was, one, I kind of grew up doing my sets like this or my workouts like this. I've always done, actually, yeah, pretty much I grew up doing chest flies before doing any of my heavy movements. And the reason for that being is if you struggle to, and again, you don't have to feel your chest, like you don't have to feel every muscle fiber, anything like that, but if you feel like you have a hard time activating your chest, or when you're doing your chest movements you're just feeling like your triceps or your delts, I would recommend giving pre-exhaust sets a try, because for me that helped so much in terms of like mind muscle connection and actually making sure that throughout even my heavy lifts I was activating my chest, contracting my chest, stretching my chest as much as I can. Same thing with back, right? I used to do lat pullovers before doing my lat pull downs or like a row. So I originally wasn't going to start with these, and then the incline machine that I was going to use was taken, so I was like, all right, I'll take that as a sign to do do a couple pre-exhaust sets. So again, I will say, because starting out with this, I just had like no blood in my chest. The contraction was unreal, like almost painful. I mean, you can see at the end of these sets, like I just like lean over and it hurts, man. Like you can get, specifically cable flies, you can get such a good contraction. But the biggest thing about these is, I'll back up for this, is a lot of people when they do their flies, their arms are like all the way out here, or maybe they rotate in like this and they're just like doing their flies like this. Whereas for me, and I do this on a pec deck, depending on if the machine is like allows for it, sometimes they don't really, but I pretty much am just here and then bending my elbows back into a 90 degree, and it's oh dude, honestly my chest is so sore from yesterday that you get such a good stretch when you do just that bend in the elbows. It takes a lot of the stress off your biceps and puts most of it on your chest, because again, when you go with your arm pretty much all the way straight out here, you're just going to put a lot more tension on your biceps than you need to. So starting out though with the cable flies, we're just doing 3 sets. Like I said, in the past I've always done, well, not always, but recently, like the last year, has been 2 sets of everything. But because now I'm only hitting chest once a week, back once a week, I just up the sets by like 1, not even for every exercise, just kind of going with the flow, in the sense that if I do an exercise and after 2 sets, I'm like, okay, those were 2 really, really good sets. I liked how those felt. I'll stay there. But the flies were gnarly, man. I was like, I want to hit 3 sets of these. So first set we ended up getting 12 reps with 3 partials. Then we got 7 reps. And then this final set here, we get 8 reps. And another thing to think about in these flies is to make sure that you're not kind of internally rotating your shoulders and getting into here, is I like to think once you push out, almost act like you're trying to put those elbows down, or like you're almost like you're a waiter holding a table, right? Or a table, holding a tray, right? It's almost like you flip those pinkies and think about those pinkies touching together. So 3 sets done there, onto the best machine ever. If you have an incline or any converging chest press where it actually is out here and converges all the way in, trust me, take advantage of it. So this is gonna be my bread and butter for the next like 12 weeks, is this incline machine. Going for 6 to 10 reps here. This first set we get 9 reps, which I was pretty happy about. In terms of strength, like after doing 3 sets of cable flies, strength was still pretty good. And this machine just feels so good, man. Like you can get such good range of motion, such a good stretch, such a good contraction, doesn't bother the shoulders at all. And again, I know not everyone has, look at this failure rep, come on. Damn, didn't get it, got the partials though. But if you don't have a machine like this, a good alternative would be like an incline dumbbell press, for instance. The only reason I'm switching to now this is my primary incline movement is I've just been doing incline dumbbell press for so long that I was like, I just want to switch things up. So again, 2 sets here. I went up in weight here, apparently a little bit too quickly, or more than I thought I was going to be able to do. Right now I'm trying to get like minimum 5 or 6 reps on everything. As you can see here, I get to like 4 and just hit an absolute wall. But again, 4 good reps, so I'm okay with it. But typically I want to be able to do more than that. So you'll see here, because I only got the 4 reps, I was aiming for like 6. I actually just go right into a rest pause set. So if you don't know what a rest pause set is, you finish your movement, set a timer for 15 seconds, you don't change anything, leave the weight the same, and then you just go right back into it and try and get as many reps as you can. Now, if you fail at like 4 reps and do this, you're probably not going to be able to get 1 more rep. Like maybe you will, but as you're going to see right here, I just couldn't. Like if I could only get 4, the odds of me getting another rep after 15 seconds is probably pretty slim. But like if you got 10 reps and failed at 10, then waited 15 seconds, you could probably get like 2 to 4 reps. So again, it wasn't a very good rest pause set, but it was worth a try. 3rd set here, dropped the weight, and honestly probably should have dropped it even a little bit more. 6 to 10 reps is the goal, or like even 5 to 8. Right here I get 5. I was trying to get 1 more, but again, wasn't quite as strong as we thought we were. That's okay. But man, I will say the following day now, my chest is so sore from this lift. Like, feels good, man. Like, it's nice to, like, I know soreness isn't the main thing you want to be focused on, but it feels good to change things up and the next day be like, I am so sore. It just feels good, you know. Moving on to a flat press. I'd never done this machine, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I don't know if I love it. It does feel really good. You get a huge stretch and like essentially as much of a contraction as I'm gonna get on that. But part of me thinks maybe I'll want to try out either like a flat hammer strength press or even a flat dumbbell press. Probably not a flat barbell press, that's for sure. The 2 sets here, again, same thing, going for 5 to 8 reps. The main thing on this is pretty much just making sure that like, well, honestly, there's not really much to it. If you're in a flat machine press, there's not much, machines in general, there's not much you have to think about. Like, you're locked into a range of motion and a movement. Like, there's not much you have to do. It's pretty obvious. But I switched the grip here just to kind of mess around with it. Again, I don't really know which one I like better, but this was the only exercise today that I was kind of iffy about in terms of maybe I'll supplement it and put something else in there. But aside from that, the rest of the exercises felt so great, especially the next one. The next exercise I was a big fan of. It's been a while since I've done them. But again, 2 sets to failure here, just trying to get 5 to 8 reps. All right, this is the one that I was surprised at how much I had enjoyed them. It's been a long time since I've done dips, and they didn't have the weighted belt or the belt to put weight on, which ended up not mattering because I don't think I would have been able to do anything. But same thing, like 6 to 10 reps, going super, super slow on the way down just to try and almost make it even harder. That way, if I was just like repping them out, I probably could get like 20 and then I would have needed to add weight. But that's why I always try to say in terms of like hypertrophy and bodybuilding, you should think about making it as difficult as possible to get the least amount of weight from point A to point B. Most people go to the gym and they try to make it as easy and efficient as possible to get the most amount of weight from point A to point B, right? They just are like explosive reps. And if you're training for strength, that's fine. Or power, that's fine. But if you're training for hypertrophy, you don't need to be training like that. Like, I do not lift a lot of weight. Like, you would think, and I don't say this in like a way to hype myself up, but the amount of muscle I have, you would think I would be able to lift more than I can, but I can't. Well, maybe I could, but I'm not going to because I'm not training to try and move the weight as fast as possible. So again, 2 sets here. The stretch on these, man, was unreal. And I will say, I think a lot of that comes from now that the last month I've been really, really focused on like my shoulder health, my mobility, my rotator cuffs especially. In the past, I remember I would do dips and it would just kill like my front delts and even just like my rotator cuff. And doing these pain-free for the first time in a long time felt so good. Like you can get such a deep stretch, almost to the point where you can even like see my stretch marks in my chest. And even doing partials on these feels really, really good. These, I just call them like tricep cross pushdowns, whatever you want to call them. If you have this cable set up, trust me, utilize it. It feels great. It's been a long time since I've done both arms at once, and it actually almost felt better, just in the sense that I had like equal load on each side, in the sense that I didn't have to like try and balance or like off put the weight on one side and not having any on the other, if that makes sense. Again, going for 6 to 10 reps. First set here, we only get 6 reps. It was a lot heavier than I thought it was gonna be, but like as you can see, arms all the way back behind me, and I'm pretty much just pushing my hand down the line of that cable, right? Like if this is the cable, my hand, I'm just pushing down that line is all I'm doing. I'm just keeping that elbow in the same spot the whole time, trying to make sure that that elbow is not coming forward with the cable, or I'm like kicking my shoulder down, anything like that. This is arguably even a better angle in terms of seeing kind of what my elbow is doing. Trying to keep it as still as possible, and again, just kicking those hands down and out. One thing too is like, if you can, bring them up to like, I pretty much bring them up to the point where I have no bend, or I can't get my hand any further. Get as deep of a stretch as you can. And then this last rep, actually no, it must be the next rep. Yeah, next rep I get 6. I dropped the weight a little bit for the second set, but still I was fighting for my life to get the 6th rep here. Couldn't quite straighten the arms all the way, but pretty close, you know. Enough for me to be like, all right, that was acceptable. On to the last movement of the day, Katana Extensions, or just Tricep extensions. But at the end of the day, it looks like you're pulling out a katana, right? Pretty much the same idea as those cable cross pushdowns, just the opposite now. And now the other thing too is, for these, I'm much more focused on the actual stretch of the tricep, the part, this movement here versus up here. Again, that's purely just because, well, you're actually gonna see when you try these. You could just like grab weight and sit at the bottom, and the stretch you get is unreal, versus like, again, the contraction you get at the top of these versus the contraction you get on a push down is very different. 2 sets here, same thing. Yeah, 6 to 10 reps. This first set here, we get 7. But again, you'll see once I hit that failure point, or I've tried to do partials, kind of just hang out at the bottom, let your triceps stretch and just sit there. Like, you got nowhere to be. You're not rushing, you know, grab a cup of coffee, hang out, embrace the suck. Cause dude, it sucks. Like when you burn out, you reach failure, and then you sit at the bottom of that rep, it's a painful stretch, but it's like a good painful, you know, because you're like, all right, like these babies must be growing if they feel like this. So again, just 2 sets here. This is one too that might take a little bit of practice just to get used to the movement. It can feel a little bit weird. I know that for me, like it did take just some messing around with finding like the right angles, the right height, things like that. But once you do it, man, and do it right, trust me, you're gonna wanna keep doing them. But that is my full chest and triceps day 2 of my split. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you got something out of it. Up next, we have day 3, which is actually today, which is quads, which is, I got some new exercises we're tossing in there that I'm not sure I'm looking forward to. But if you liked the video, like the video. If you didn't, that's fine. The very least you can do. Just have a good day. Take care now. Bye-bye then.